Welcome back to Thrive America. I'm your host, Brent Brooks, and joined by J. Mark Walker,
Mr. Alan Yard, Prince Nair,
joined by business coach, action coach, CEO and co-founder of Axiom Franchise Advisors, and I'm joined by PR expert, Mr. Mark Weisbrod, venture catalyst, Russell Fair, J. Cap, Chris Spears.
We're always looking for ways to build bridges of trust, build bridges of relationship.
Hi, welcome back to Thrive America. I'm your host, Brent Brooks, and I'm joined by venture catalyst, Bob Farris. Bob and I met at a networking event, which proves the power of networking, and we're going to talk a little bit about networking in our last segment. But Bob, I want to give you the vehicle to tell us a little bit about what it is that you do.
Well, I, as a catalyst, and I was bestowed that moniker in a meeting one day about 15 years ago. I didn't know I was one until I was labeled one. I have developed over the course of my adult life the knack of pulling the right people together to make things happen. And so the catalyst is to bring people, companies, opportunity, and money together and get in the middle of it. And to do that, you have to do a lot of networking and a lot of collecting of good people. You can collect a lot of the wrong people. And you've got to learn along the way to weed those out and move on beyond that venue or that network of people. They can sometimes tend to congregate together, and then the good ones tend to congregate together. And so it's a knack of finding your way into the good ones and getting accepted by them. And it all started with my innate, I guess for lack of a better word, desire to build my business based on really my personality and who I knew. And because I didn't have any specific business skill set, I wasn't trained as a CPA or an attorney or a banker, although I look like one. At times I've been accused of being a Methodist minister. And that said, no, I don't think so. It has evolved from a culmination of being involved in lots of different industries. I know a little about a lot, and I know a lot of people in a lot of different spots. And I've lived now from Nashville. Opportunity took me to Washington, D.C. I was there for 10 years, to Greenville, South Carolina for 8 years, and now to Atlanta. I moved here last fall. And so in that swing, I've collected quite a few contacts.
Wow.
And experiences.
Good for you. Well, thanks for coming on the show, and welcome to Atlanta.
Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely. Well, let's talk a little bit about some of your points here about getting a company and share your experience, strength, and hope on how you think you could help a company get from, say, the 1 million range to the 7 million range. What advice would you give us there?
Well, I had an experience of running a family business and went through that effort. Actually experienced the up to $1 million growth, and then the spurt to 3 million, and then the down to 1.5 million as the market changed. And I think looking back, I probably could have pushed to the 7 if I had done some things different, and if the formulation of our company as it grew, if we had done some things different. Some of the things that a small business person has a tendency to do is to hire their friends, hire the people they know from church, hire a cousin or an aunt or somebody that can come fill in. And then the company starts growing and it becomes $1.5 million company, and then that person is suddenly in a position of responsibility that's way beyond their scope. Yeah, they get promoted beyond their level of ability, the Peter Principle. And that's very typical in a small business. And there comes a time where you have to bite the bullet, and those people need to be just gone and replaced with people that do. And you got to make sure that that you do that sooner than later. If you do it too late, then you've lost some corporate momentum. You've definitely probably lost some working capital and the ability to then reinvest in new people and bring them in and be able to afford them. The other is that you end up then managing more of your company and not managing the growth of your business. Employees can take up a lot of your time. And one thing that we had talked about was that I had to learn that if you don't have a good employee, deal with it and deal with it quick, because then other employees, they know that you're putting up and you're tolerating this bad behavior or this lack of excellence, lack of quality, and they will dumb down to that level. Why expect me to do this? And so you got to nip that in the bud real quick, and that tends to make a difference in an organization. The other is that listen to what your customers are telling you. And that's kind of a cliche, but your customers will end up telling you, "Hey, I want you to come do this," and you go, so you go do that, but you don't realize that they may be telling you there's a whole new market niche out there for you to proceed. In my own personal experience, we were in the mail order business in the sporting goods space, and people started coming by our warehouse offices to buy stuff to go on vacation and to use in their daily life. And all of a sudden we had a thriving retail business within our warehouse. And so I got to collecting those numbers separately and realized that was a viable standalone business. And that became a push to get that business established in the retail side of the business in separate standalone stores. And so it was just my customers flat telling me that, we want to buy from you.
Right.
We want to buy at retail.
Yeah.
And we don't want to go down to the local department store. Or the sporting goods store. We want to come here and way out here in this warehouse district. And so I improved that business a bit. The other, I think, important thing to do as a young business person, young company, is to get involved in your community. And it goes beyond just joining the chamber, with the normal stuff. When you're very small, chambers, I think, can be very helpful. But I think as you move on, you need to kind of broaden that, and it even goes to your church life, your getting involved politically. That actually absolutely brought business to our family's business, was my family's political involvement. Rotary clubs, Kiwanis clubs, things like that. You got to spread that out. And then Atlanta itself had just so many networking niches. You almost have to learn how to not show up too often.
Say no, right.
You say no. Sometimes you can overexpose yourself, and you end up being the same gang running around looking for business.
Interesting.
And you don't want to get that label. So sometimes joining professional groups that do focus and do inter-network among themselves, I think is important. And I mentioned I'm going to a function later that does just that, and it spans a range of business owners from my one-man shop up to large companies.
Large companies, yeah. I wanted to, we're about wrapped up here for this segment, but I did want to mention the employee, and something that we just instilled into our organization is culture statements. And I put a list of 10 statements that I feel are anybody that works with our company needs to adhere to, either for if it's an independent contractor or an intern or a regular independent employee here. They read these statements and now they adhere to them, and they have a common language and a common way to deal with customers, a common way to interact with each other, and it spells out the expectations that I would have for my company. And I really agree with you there. The other statement I wanted to follow was, one employee could sink, bringing the whole company down. And a lot of times what I'll do is, if I'm working in a film, for example, I'll bring in an actor who I know is the most professional actor that I know. because all the other actors don't want to they don't want to look like the weak link. So they all want to raise to the level. So
to
the
that
opposite
level.
principle is true. So if you have someone that you feel is the best employee or working so hard to be that model employee, and then maybe fire everyone else or whatever you have to do there.
Well, that kind of goes along with the adage of surround yourself with people that pull you up.
Yeah. And we have to cut here. Bob, we're going to bring you right back in another segment. So we'll be right back here as we talk a little bit more with Bob about how, as an entrepreneur, you have to change on a dime. And we're going to ask Bob the ultimate question in just a little bit.